Wayfair announced their earnings this past week, and just to reflect on the last couple of years, Wayfair was one of those pandemic darlings. This is the pandemic lows, which we saw in the monthly chart form a hammer candle, and then it was just off to the races. Now, all these wicks was a clue that price was topping, and once we got a close below the 13 simple monthly moving average, it was game over. Price collapsed from say 280ish all the way down to 25, where it bottomed. Now, before we continue with the analysis, let's get into this article, and it's coming from investing.com. Wayfair shares hit over 1 year high after smaller than expected loss. So shares of Wayfair Inc. rose as much as 24% on Thursday to their highest level in more than a year after the online furniture retailer reported a smaller than expected second quarter loss as orders grew and costs fell, while net revenue fell 3.4% year over year to $3.2 billion. Wayfair delivered more than 10 million orders, up 3% from the year ago quarter. The second quarter saw gross margins exceed 30%, a milestone we have only previously accomplished during the peak pandemic period of 2020, the CEO stated. Now, Wells Fargo analyst Zachary Fadem upgraded Wayfair stock to overweight from underweight and raised their price target to $100 per share from $35, while citing the company's leaner, more productive business with lower product cost and a stronger than expected sales recovery. Now, before we get into the analysis, before we determine price targets, let's look at a quick video coming from Yahoo.
We are watching is shares of Wayfair. That stock finishing the day well in the green on the plus side, up by about 16%. So the flip of what we've seen with regard to Expedia, its results soaring past estimates in the second quarter. Despite seeing active customers fall, the online furniture retailer continues climbing after reporting adjusted earnings per share of 21 cents a share against they were expecting a loss. So it was a surprise gain for Wayfair. I mean, look, you remember this was a pandemic darling, and then it lost its luster, and now it's come back. Akiko.
Yeah, this is a company that has really been really moving aggressively to try and slash costs. They've laid off about 10% of their staff, and we're starting to see a bit of a turnaround. Interesting to see how the sentiment has shifted on Wall Street. In recent days, we saw Piper Sandler upgrading the stock to overweight from neutral, raising the price target to $97 from $35 a share. Wells Fargo also upgrading shares to overweight, raising their price target as well to $100. So, it certainly feels like when you look at the home furnishings industry, as we call it, where Wayfair competes, things are starting to stabilize. And we're seeing some of those results with that stock up roughly 16% today. We'll share.
All right, so let's scroll down to the weekly chart. But before we do that, we can see that price on the monthly chart has closed above this resistance level at $70. It attempted on two different occasions, once in August of last year, another attempt came in February, to no avail until July, where it handsomely closed above the $70 resistance level. At the moment, we see a doji candle on the month for August, but it's still young. Now, if we go to the weekly chart, you can see what I meant by the resistance at $70. Now, what's interesting was back in mid-July, price came back into that level and kind of hovered for a couple of weeks before we got the breakout on earnings. Now, looking at the weekly chart, there's still a lot of room to the upside. One of the analysts, Wells Fargo, has a $100 price target, and to me that makes sense, which would signify a level right below what was previously support. So that's a great target to shoot for after price pulls back. So the question is, with the momentum in an upstring and price respecting this uptrend line, where can you get long Wayfair? Let's scroll to the daily chart, and I don't know if price is going to fill this gap, so this will be a great level to go long. Typically, when you have a breakout from resistance, you usually have a retest before the price continues higher. But let's look for price to, as it's overextended from the weekly uptrend line, let's look for price to kind of wane, if not decline a bit, until we get closer to that weekly uptrend line. So the setup would be something like this. Before what we hope is before price continues to move higher. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.